Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I am your other host, Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror.
And today we're doing the dueling banjos.
If we only had real banjos.
If only we knew how to play. That'd be super cool for this intro.
Have you heard of an electric banjo?
I have not.
They're a thing,
Wow.
and they're great.
I'm sure they're rocking. That dueling banjo song, I'm sure, would be insane. With
Like a blues rock. Oh, my dad had a farm.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
take that song to a new level. Bring that shit to a new level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so why are we talking about
why we're doing
banjos?
dueling banjos? Because today we watched Deliverance from 1972, directed by John Boorman, written by James Dickey and John Boorman. Intent on seeing the Cahulawassee River before it is dammed and turned into a lake, outdoor fanatic Lewis Medlock take his friends on a canoeing trip they'll never forget into the dangerous American backcountry.
Oh boy, did they... We'll never forget this.
Well, they will never forget that. That is for sure.
That's for jizzle my nizzle.
And we were talking about backcountry, and I don't mean laying on your backcountry, even though there was that too.
Oh, some did lay on their back.
Yikes. Wow. So, okay, first off, this is a film that neither of us had seen before this.
No.
Kind of fun. Always fun to, be on the first ride together.
Yes. Like these folks.
Yes. And it was quite a ride. Quite a ride. A rocky ride.
Oh, boy.
And this is also another film that I think people might be a little surprised that it was in our bucket too, because it is a pretty notorious film, pretty famous film, just in Hollywood, in general. But I put this film in there because it's definitely a thriller.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I was tense the whole time.
It was definitely a thrill because it has some explicit themes, and also they're writing down this for real. Mm-hmm. They're doing all their stunts. I'm curious to know how long it took them to do this film, and also did they train? Did the actors train beforehand?
I mean, it seemed like there had to be somewhat because, yeah, they were doing all that shit.
They're canoeing down that river.
They're doing it. They're hiking. I really didn't catch any doubles, no stunt doubles or whatever. I think they were all really doing it, which, yeah, you're right. It adds to the excitement of this movie, which is an element that I really liked. And we're also dealing with a lot of elements that is hard to swallow.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
Like you said, we're going on a rocky road, but let's jump into the can.
Let's go.
Let's see what this filmmaking's got to offer. And what I did really like about the filmmaking was it felt at times like we were, because there was 4 main characters that are on this canoeing trip. It almost felt like we were the 5th person on this trip because the camera's right there with them. There's a lot of walking behind them, tracking behind them in the boat. It really sets you in like a POV of being on this trip with these guys. It felt like guerrilla filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And it really felt like we went out there with these actors, with a camera guy, and maybe like a couple other crew members. I don't think it was a very large crew that was on this shoot. It didn't feel like that.
No.
It felt really like we're bare bonesing out here in the wilderness. It really felt like at times we were like shooting a nature documentary because we're going through these beautiful rivers and these valleys with amazing forests, and it felt like we were really experiencing the nature part of what was going on with these guys, which was very cool. And what I love about how this movie functions is the first part is we're on this fun canoeing trip with these guys. So we, as the audience, even though it's thrilling to watch these guys go down the river, it's still fun because they're having fun. They're laughing like, yeah. And then we have the turning point in the movie where everything becomes super serious and super real. Suddenly after that, all those canoeing trips, all the like climbing up and hiking and people moving about became way more thrilling on a scary level rather than on a fun level because we realized the stakes of what was going on.
Yes. Not only are you so vulnerable because the lake goes one way, and then these people live here. Mm-hmm. They know they're not going to get lost in those woods. So, yeah, it makes them so vulnerable. And then with what happened as we progress, I mean, the nature was the biggest winner.
Yep.
Regardless of what team you were on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all those shots, there was a good amount of very long takes and also very wide shots, which we've seen a lot before in movies. And we've talked about before when you have wide shots that you are staying on for a long time, and especially when we're in the deep woods, it gives you a lot to look at. And as the audience, you're looking around being like, who's behind that tree? Who's watching you?
You won't see them.
You won't
they blend in.
Yeah. And especially like you said, these are people that live there. They know how to use the nature to hide themselves because it's their home.
You look around you, Lewis. He could be out there anywhere watching us right now.
What are your thoughts about actors doing their own stunts? Or directors like this movie had the actual actors do the canoeing.
Yeah. I thought for this movie, it really worked. And also I think that goes with, how these actors are being directed for sure, because a lot of these scenes kind of feel like improv sometimes. Like, I know they have lines and they're saying the lines, but a lot of the lines are like on top of each other.
Hey, you know that one place there?
You know what I was just thinking?
That one spot where...
First explorers saw this country. Saw it just like us.
It really feels naturalistic. A lot of the acting style and a lot of the script feels super natural because I feel like the director was like, go out there and, react. Say what you would say.
This is
as
generally
character.
like the feeling that I want from each person.
And so then on top of that, this like naturalistic style that the director is going for, on top of the fact of them actually doing their own stunts, it just, again, goes back to making this feel super, super real. So I really enjoyed it in this film. And I think that it allowed the actors to just play around more within the scenes, which I appreciate for sure as a director.
I am always just very conscious about actors doing their own stunts because they could get hurt. And there's a career. Stunt people are so knowledgeable about how to do things correctly. And yeah, it's always very dangerous. It's a very fine line. But back in the 70s and 60s, there was a acting style called the I can never pronounce his freaking name. Stanislavski. Oh, God. Anyhow, it is derived from his teacher. I'm blanking out. Anywho,
Call in and let us know.
I studied theater for so long. But essentially what it is like you are feeling things. And like that, I could totally tell. I don't know if they truly studied it, but I'm pretty sure everybody was getting into this acting style of like, instead of it being so performative, we're going to actually have our, like, be in the feelings. Not method, but like how does this emotion really feel in your body? How would you really move and stuff as your character?
So more of like an embodiment. of it.
Yes.
And also, too, I think we have to think about the time as well of like moving out of the 50s and 60s, which were definitely still in that, in filmmaking, very performative, as you're saying, almost play-like. We have
Meisner.
sets.
Sorry, Meisner.
Meisner. Got it.
Meisner, which I studied. God.
Yeah, so we have this kind of like old style, but now in the 70s, we have for the first time cameras becoming smaller, more portable. We can go on locations easier like this. We can put our actors in these situations and really make it feel quote unquote real. And so they're definitely playing with that in this film. And I do agree with you. There is this fine line of wanting to get a realistic depiction of what you're going for in the story, but also making sure that your actors and crew are being safe. For sure. What did you think about the acting in this film?
I mean, for its time, I thought it was pretty well acted. There was a time in which I believed Bobby towards the beginning. Not sure if it quite got through me.
Bryce, Drew, look at the junk. Lewis? Got a live one here. You don't know nothing.
They were really trying to like build them up as like the city asshole boys at the beginning of the movie.
And I was just like, oh God.
They're really trying to cram it down your throat.
Yeah. But as the movie went on and they had to really sit in those really heavy themes, their acting was absolutely incredible. Also, for an actor actually being in the river, down the river, absolutely wet the whole time, would also get to me. I would also look fucking exhausted and tired the way they did.
As the movie went on, they settled into the characters more. But I do think that they were trying to really heavy hand the feeding of how out of place these guys were at the beginning. To go towards the themes that they were talking about.
Because also at the same time, they seemed very much in love with nature.
Yeah.
There were a few that were already really, what's the word I want to say? Indoctrinized to the city. Is that a word to use?
Yeah, I guess so. Like they were more acquainted with the city rather than
they had
nature.
just fully adapted. But it seemed like these folks, at least since they were young adults, they would go out all the time. They seemed pretty knowledgeable with nature.
Yeah, it didn't feel like their intentions of coming into this trip were to make, it didn't feel like they were wanting to make fun of nature or anything. Like they really felt like they wanted to be there because they knew this wasn't going to be here soon. They were going to open the dam and all this stuff was going to be gone.
It was very political.
It was.
As well, because it was shot in the actual river before it absolutely got shut down.
Yep. And I think we should probably get to the meat because that is a huge part of this movie. It's a very environmentalist movie. That's a huge theme that we're talking about in this film. And it's told through these classic characters that think that they have control over a situation. You know, we have these guys coming from the city thinking that they can just come into the woods, go down this river, enjoy the sights.
Hackle.
Easy, but realizing that nature is much more powerful than that. And the forces that are out there are sometimes way bigger and beyond your control.
What the hell you want to go fuck around that river for?
Because it's there.
You know, the turning point of this film, I think, happens before you even realize it. What's going on, it happens. Which, you know, when someone gets raped, that is very much the experience. And so it was interesting, too, because we have this tie of, like, industry coming in, and they even say, like, we're going to rape the
land.
The land. That was a line.
A little more
air conditioners for your smug little suburb. And you know what's gonna happen? We're gonna rape this whole goddamn landscape. We're gonna rape it.
Oh, Lewis,
We have that idea in mind of industry raping the lands and taking its resources for itself. And then we have a literal rape going on when Bobby and Ed,
yeah,
pull off just to cool themselves off.
What the hell you think you're doing?
I guess this river comes out somewhere, don't it? That's where we're going. Somewhere. Look, we don't want any trouble here.
We've got quite a long journey ahead of us, gentlemen. Well,
Hold it. You ain't
Jesus.
going no damn hurry.
what is it you require of us?
Well, we require that you get your goddamn ass up in them woods.
All right, now, look.
You get right now, Taylor.
Okay, all right.
Be real still. If he tries that again, shoot that in there. I'll blow his bad blame balls off. Now let's you just drop them pants.
Drop?
Just take them right off.
The actual rape wasn't, for me, even like the worst part about it. It was like the lead up
oh yeah,
that went on, because it was like them controlling them first, separating them, making them both feel powerless, and then take off your clothes. Like, and it's slowly happening, and then the taunting starts too.
oh god,
With like the piggy stuff, and it was like, oh.
It's brutal. I'm not sure if there's a lot of male rape in movies.
No.
And I mean, it happens to guys, and this is a thing. Another heavy theme that the movie had is which now there's this trauma that happened, and everybody's trying to move past it, and nobody wants to talk about it. And they are never going to talk about it.
Nope.
Let's bury him. I don't want this getting around. Okay? Okay?
And then it kind of then sends them on this journey of trying to cover things up. Because first of all, they don't want to talk about the fact that the guy got raped. And then they just want to bury the fact that they killed the guy so they don't have to deal with any of the legal things are going on. So burying. And then also there's an overarching thing of a dam is going to be released and all of this stuff is going to be buried.
Ooh.
So there is burying going on through this entire film.
We get connected up with that body and the law. This thing's gonna be hanging over us the rest of our lives. You know what's gonna be here? Right here, a lake. Did you ever look out over a lake? Think about something buried underneath it? Buried underneath it. Man, that's about as buried as you can get.
And I think in the end, at least for me, how it's left is those things are going to get unburied eventually. You can open a dam over it. It's going to come back in some way.
But like you mentioned, now this rape scene that happens between the people that live there and the city folk is exactly what's going on with the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very messed up metaphor, but also like rape itself is just such a word that not a lot of people want to say. So when you hear like, oh, you know, corporate comes in here and just like rapes the land and strips it off its, you know, its nutrients and stuff, it's a freaking heavy ass word.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and then it actually happens to a member.
It works. Like this movie works
yeah.
well in telling that story and telling that experience, two experiences really, that kind of, but still go back to the same thing, you know, of being stripped of your control. And so it's a really heavy theme that we're talking about, but I do think that this film actually handles it pretty well. I think we should get to the cook of it.
Yeah.
Because that's That's kind of what we're talking about anyway, is how they're handling these themes. I think it's done pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Another scene that I think does a really good job of, kind of tying these themes together is actually when they first arrived. We have these two very different groups of people coming together, and at first they're like very much butting heads, can't really come together. But then the one thing that does bring them together is music. Mm-hmm. And it's like a nice, like, kind of camaraderie moment that all the people that live there and the city folks that have just come in kind of are just like one, like they're just humans together for a moment.
Yeah. The callback was like first very simple, and then the kid was able to pick it up, and then they started forming a song together to the point where the kid with a banjo surpassed, because then the guy was like, I'm lost. Drew was like, I'm lost, I don't know where we're at. And so then they ended it. And it was like a really long scene too.
Yeah.
It was like 5 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It was
I
great.
was enjoying it.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it. It
I was like
yeah, but ultimately, because I wrote that down during the scene, who will win this dueling banjo scene, and ultimately the kid got the best of Drew, which goes back to what was about to happen. It's a very, I love that scene because it's a very like camaraderie building scene for everyone that's there as humans, but it ends with a reminder of and of kind of a foreboding note of what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And then the banjo the music kind of becomes like a warning noise for the rest of the film. Mm-hmm. Like we hear it distantly, and it becomes like a very eerie danger kind of thing, where it started as like this very light, nice thing, turns very dark.
And if you want to put a little pin on that, the danger starts happening once they come across a child again.
There's like a great shot, going back to the cook, of how they're presenting these things, and now talking about how these characters went through an intense fucking traumatic experience. And how do they deal with it? They don't deal with it. They fucking bury it literally. And then I love this shot at the end because these little towns know that they're going to open up the dam and they're going to be underwater. So they have to move everything. They're moving the church. They're moving the church, the building itself. And then they are digging up the graves in a graveyard and moving them as well. I'm just like, John Voight looking at this image of the fucking dead coming back and getting unburied. I'm like, you are fucked, brother.
And you know that there's going to be some people that they're going to be too stubborn and prideful to move. That they're going to just allow the dam to take them.
A couple more months, she'll all be gone.
Even up as far as here?
The main tree on up.
Lewis!
One big dead lake.
Well, let's get to the thrill.
Let's get to it.
And the scary part, which I'm glad that we have one of these movies, is that no supernatural things going on in this film. It's all real fucking life, which is even scarier sometimes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And because we've talked about like these are really heavy, real themes that are still, going on today. And it really just makes this movie feel a lot more grounded, which then in turn makes it feel a lot more scary.
Way we can change this. There's no way we can change what happened to Bobby. We gotta do the right thing. Ed, we're gonna have to live with this for the rest of our lives. Right!
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the last movie, Under the Skin, where these are forces like nature and sometimes humans that we don't understand. We think we might.
Yeah.
We think we can go out there and just like canoe down a river or make a tent and be fine because we get how it works. But nature is a force that sometimes reminds us that we are not in full control.
Night has fallen, and there's nothing we can do about it.
All right, let's get to finally the ride.
Wow. Woo.
It was a bumpy one.
I mean, I wanted to puke at times.
Yeah, that meat hanging out of his leg. There's a lot of leg meat. Sorry, Bert.
It's like those cats that are very reactive to smells of foods that they don't like. It's that absolutely coming from your gut up.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. Woo. The ride. I mean, for me, I felt like I was with it the whole time.
I was in that boat.
I was definitely in that boat, and yeah, we kind of already talked about it. It felt like we were with them along the ride. In situations
Splash Mountain
style, in situations that we don't want to be in, but we can't escape. We can't escape it. And then we're along this. After the rape happens, it's literally a nightmare. Like it's them just like killing somebody. Then we have to deal with a fucking body. Then our friend like
dissociates and suicide.
And then we have to find that body, and then we have to get rid of that body too. It's just like.
And then they kill another person
that's probably innocent. Like, it's just like this endless nightmare of holy fuck, how did we get here? But you're with it. You're with it the whole time, and you're just along for this at first fun and then nightmarish ride. But it was definitely driving. It felt like we were on that river, going down river on the rapids the whole time.
Oh, yeah. And we knew there was a beginning and there was an end, and we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to get to the end. But then also, we didn't want to get to the end because we weren't sure if we were going to get murdered. And they started construing this, like, plan to lie. And then you don't know whether to be on these people's sides or not. Because at first we weren't, and then we were, and then I don't know.
Yeah. And then where does that ultimately get them is now living with their eyes over their shoulders, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, there's gonna be something that comes back from this.
They're absolutely in high alert the whole time, and that is what PTSD happen. Like, when you experience PTSD, you have absolutely buried the feelings, and sometimes that happens for survival. You don't do it on your own. But then you're reactive. So I'm afraid that Ed, because towards the end, he has a dream in which then, what was it? Oh, the person's hand.
Yeah, just coming out of the water.
Coming up.
No!
Ed?
The movie ends with him just awake in bed. Just like, he doesn't go to sleep. He's not going to rest easy. Yeah, his wife's just like, go to sleep. Go to sleep. You can't close your eyes on that one.
No. If Adam were to wake up in the middle of the night yelling, I'm not going to tell him go back to sleep. I'm going to be like, talk to me. What happened? How can I help you? Like, I'm here. You're here. You know?
Yeah, this is a pretty, like, progressive movie, it feels like. Because this is a warning story of burying and repressing your feelings and your trauma and where it's going to get you. And they really are trying to say, you just got to talk about it. You just got to talk about it.
You got to talk about it. And also, let's save our beautiful lakes and rivers and mountains and forests. Because
this movie does a great job of, like, telling both the tales of physical and emotional trauma. Like, the physical trauma that we're causing to our lands is then leading to emotional trauma that we aren't dealing with either. And in both situations, things are going to come back to the surface, the literal surface of the water, and also, like, in ourselves too, when we break from our trauma. And they're really telling those stories really well side by side. They're going hand in hand very well in this movie. Deliverance.
Deliverance.
We got delivered.
We delivered a good ass story.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm just gonna add. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna add that I was expecting this to not be a good movie. I didn't know. I didn't know about this movie, so I didn't know the lore. I didn't know that if it was well received. I just knew that there was some pretty good actors in this movie, and that's it.
Well, I think we should get to the Smash Pumpkin ratings and see what you actually think. Do you have a number?
I think I do.
All right, cool.
I'm not sure why I want to give it this number. At least the point something.
Okay.
But 4.2.
4.2.
Definitely above a 4 because of everything that we talked about, it being a well-written story. It was very linear. I didn't think we were going to hit some themes that we did. And I mean, it was well acted and it was well performed as well. And I enjoyed being reminded that there are beautiful places out there for us to go and explore. Just be very cautious, not just about nature, but where you're at. There are people that live there, and just because you're a stupid American doesn't mean that you own everywhere you go because you have money.
Yeah, that didn't turn directly at a group of people.
Absolutely
But fair.
not.
But fair.
But fair?
I mean,
Oh, my fucking shoulder popped.
not like
Yeah.
Drew's. Oh,
My lord.
wow.
Double jointed.
Yikes. That looked painful as hell. Yes, I think this movie was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be too. I didn't really have much expectations. I have heard about this movie for a very long time, but have never seen it. So I was very pleasantly surprised by how good it was. So I'm going to give it a pretty high rating. And I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think.
Are you?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what I didn't like about it. Because I might just give it a 5.
Ooh, back to back?
Back to back. Did I give
Right?
the last one a 5? I think I did give the last one a 5. Jesus.
I believe you did.
Fuck, I'm just throwing out these 5s. I mean, it's a really good movie. Because I'm trying to
These
think.
Lincolns.
It's a tough movie. It was a tough movie like Brimstone to experience and go through and talk about these things is hard. But those are sometimes the movies that I really enjoy because I do think that these are things that even today we need to talk about more.
Oh, yeah.
And there's experiences that people go through that we should talk about more so they feel like they can talk about them more.
We should remove the stigma from talking about traumatic experiences because the more we talk about it, the more we recognize that others are also experiencing something similar and we can be there for each other. So then we can break cycles, you guys.
And for this movie to come out in 1972 and really not only addressing male rape, but also addressing it well, I really felt like they were able to talk about these themes of rape pretty coherently and without it feeling like they were just using it to make a plot point.
Like a certain show we were talking about before.
Right, exactly. So that's, I think, why I want to give it a 5. And I think that too, hopefully, will incentivize people to go watch it and see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
See how they handle these themes. And maybe, it's not handled as well as I'm saying, but I felt pretty moved by what they were trying to say.
Yeah. And who knows whether they were back in the day, but
Could have just been a
it's
happy
all
accident.
about, perspective. And I think now that we are allowing space for people to talk and heal from experiences, I think we are able to process this better. Who knows? Maybe in the 70s, they were like, yeah, don't talk about your feelings. you know, but nowadays we're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, sure.
We can recognize how this will torment them for the rest of their lives and their families.
Yeah. Just talk about it, y'all.
Talk your feelings out.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
All right, Deliverance, good job.
Wow.
You delivered.
You delivered.
For show.
And you can deliver us stories at
You can.
773
669-6677. Would love to hear your stories, your recommendations for movies, anything really.
I just had a friend reach me on via Instagram, and I let them know to go over to our phone number.
Yeah, leave those recs.
They had an idea for a movie, so
Love that. I want to hear them.
I want to hear them too.
Speaking of that, should we pull what we're watching next week?
Yes.
Let's see what we got.
Let's see.
Is it me? Did you pull this one? I honestly,
Is it me you're looking for?
I can see it in your eyes. I can't remember. You pull
It
it.
might have been you.
Just pull it.
I'll pull it.
Just pull it.
I'll pull it.
It's always exciting.
Come on.
What do you want?
I want it to be a psychological thriller,
Okay.
if not a ghost. I want
Oh.
a good ass fucking supernatural.
Let's see a good
Come
ghost
on.
movie. Yeah. It's a thick one.
Shut the fuck up.
Uh-oh.
Shut the fuck up.
Read it.
A family's home is haunted by a host of demonic ghosts.
All right, good start. No, that's it? Oh.
Yeah.
Demonic hosts.
Families haunted by demonic ghosts.
Are we talking about Poltergeist?
Yes, we are. Woo, woo, woo.
Poltergeist.
Come
Wow,
on.
classic ghosts. Yeah, you said you wanted ghosts.
I want a ghost, and we're going there, you guys.
Toby Hooper. Nice.
Yes.
Very fun. Good poll.
Excited.
Good poll.
Good pull.
Awesome. All right.
Nice. Well, you can follow me on Instagram, Color Me Leslie.
And me at Beep Beep Richie T. And us at the Deadlights Pod. Also check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this from.
Here, you guys.
But until next time, let's get
spooky. Ooh, ding 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 ding.